welcome to this kind of video log, journal, diary, whatever it is, honestly. I'd like to just kind of speak my thoughts out on what life in Japan is like for me, how the experience has been going. I think it would be good for me, good for my friends and family to kind of see what I'm up to. I'd like to check in, at least once a week just to see how life has been. So it is officially 1 week since I got to Japan. A lot has happened in 1 week, from the flight to, trying to navigate getting to Osaka and to my workplace and to my apartment. The one thing that stood out this week was moving in. And when they say that Japanese apartments are unfurnished, they really are unfurnished. Like, I didn't even have lights, no fridge, no stove, no tables, no chairs. There was nothing. And I should have took a video what it was like, I guess empty, but I was way too tired. I was like, probably the first few days, moving into the apartment, I was like, I don't want to do any content, no recording. I kind of just want to live my life. The first few days, I think I did want to create content, and I did record, the flight to Japan, or basically it was to Taipei, then to Japan, the train ride, and all that kind of like, whoa, I'm finally in Japan stuff. And I'll tell you real quick, I got to feel like a tourist for one night. I arrived, I believe, on the 11th, and then I took the train from the airport to my hotel, dropped off all my stuff, got changed, and then went out, went to Dotonbori, Namba. It was the first day that Japan had opened to tourists. I don't know what it was like before, but I assume that, it was kind of busier than, how it had been over COVID. It was like, whoa, look at all these lights, look at all these things. I got takoyaki, I drank a strong zero, I just walked around. I was just looking around, just taking it all in, and I was like, yeah, I'm finally here. To see the Glico sign, took an Instagram story, and that was kind of like my statement to be like, yeah, I'm finally in Japan. And the next day, I started work. I had to take the train, dropped my stuff off at the apartment, I got the keys, and then went to work, orientation, and the whole week was just kind of that, and moving stuff in, ordering stuff on Amazon. And it quickly turned from, hey, whoa, this is amazing, to like, oh shit, I'm actually living here, which is like completely different, right? Especially in another country. I don't really know anyone. I just kind of know my coworkers barely for now. They're very nice, by the way. I don't really know anyone my age, and being from Vancouver, you tend to stick with people you know from elementary school or from high school. I don't have that kind of network here. I'm on my own. So I think probably like the 4th or 5th day, and it kind of hit me. I'm like, I have this apartment for myself, but it's just for myself, right? I can call my friends over and be like, hey, you want to grab some drinks, or I'll make you dinner. And I can't just talk to my brother in the kitchen like siblings do in the middle of the night. I don't think I felt alone. Okay, I did feel alone, but I wasn't like lonely. It just kind of hit me. I was like, damn, I'm really on my own. I had lived, away from home, like for university. I go to UBC, like a 40-minute drive from New West. So it's not exactly like far. But yeah, what really stood out to me was really just moving in. But there's things like I need to move a fridge in, a washing machine, some tables, some chairs, and thankfully the people at work were very helpful. People gave me stuff like rice cookers and kettles, because if I had to start from scratch and kind of buy all that stuff for myself, then I'd probably have no money. Also, classic me move. Before I had a stove or a washing machine, I bought a guitar, which honestly to me, pretty essential. As far as work, I don't want to get really into it. Another thing that stood out this week was speaking Japanese. I had studied before at school. I took a class, and I had been studying a lot actually on my own, especially before coming to Japan. Kind of funny that now that I'm in Japan, I study less Japanese and I'm learning less Japanese, even though I live here. It's like at home, you know, I'd be learning kanji, doing vocabulary and sentence cards, and I'd be reading a textbook, doing exercises, and I wasn't working at the time when I was at home, or even when I was working, I'd have, you know, free time to dedicate to that. And now that I'm here, I mean, like, I still know some Japanese, but it's kind of like survival. Everything is at speed. It's not like a listening test so that you can replay. It's like people talk to you and everyone wears a mask here, so when there's a mask and sometimes people mumble, like, I can't hear them at all. Real life scenario, right? Especially having or looking, I guess, I am Southeast Asian, so I obviously don't look white. So I think that the expectation is kind of like, oh, maybe this guy has black hair. Maybe he knows a little Japanese. Because like when I do go to stores, or let's say I am out, you know, doing my business, like people will talk to me in Japanese and it's usually very fast up until they realize that this guy can't speak or understand that well. And then they'd be like, oh, okay. And then they kind of simplify it. I haven't had anyone really try to speak to me in English, except at the coin laundry place. I was staring at the machine and I was like, oh, what button do I press? I know I had to press the start button, but you know, like I couldn't make out which one it was, you know. This Oji-san, you know, he helped me out. He's like, oh, okay, start. And then he pointed it out and he said above, you know, that it was supposed to be for the dryer that was above. Big shout out to that guy, you know, made my life easier. It's kind of overwhelming, the amount of Japanese you just hear, and you're just kind of like, you have to be on it, right? At home, like I could choose when I wanted to speak Japanese or listen to it. And then here, you don't really have a choice. Like it's kind of trial by fire. It's still a form of learning, but it's not really the most efficient, I think. I do hope to kind of study more, and I do plan on taking like a municipal Japanese class, you know, just get to talk to people and study my own time. It is definitely sometimes harder, I think, because at work I'm speaking English every day, and it's, you know, I don't do work in Japanese. I only would really practice it if I took a class or studied at home. And even like at restaurants, I'm not having full-blown conversations in Japanese with the server. このセットお願いします. And that's kind of it. Just trying to hope the interaction goes as smooth as possible. And usually it does. Because usually there's like a set script, you know what they're gonna say, and you know when it's time to order. If you're really lucky, you have one of those machines where you can order, or you write it on a piece of paper. But usually there's a script. And the hard part, I think, with living is when they go off script. Sometimes I do understand what they say, but then I'm just caught off guard. I'm thinking in English right now. I'm not ready to speak Japanese, but you don't get the luxury of being like, okay, now's the time to speak Japanese. You know, you have to be able to kind of like pull it out and switch it up, which I can do with Tagalog because I grew up speaking that, but you know, I'm learning Japanese, so it's definitely not as easy. But yeah, that's it for this week. You know, it's not heavily edited, so I hope to do it every week. And if my videos on Osaka and, you know, my flight and all that are out, please go watch that too. So yeah, that's it for this week.